Let me repeat this hour's breaking news. We are awaiting the official announcement from President Trump, but NBC News' Pete Williams has just broken the news here on our air that, according to NBC's reporting, the pick will be Brett Kavanaugh. Interesting about Brett Kavanaugh, he was nominated to the D.C. Circuit in 2003 by George W. Bush. His nomination stalled for 3 years amid intense controversy. At the time, the liberal line of the Senate, Senator Ted Kennedy, called Brett Kavanaugh, quote, the youngest, least experienced, and most partisan appointee to the court in decades. He was nominated in 2003. He didn't actually have his successful confirmation hearing until 2006. Even still, there were 36 votes against him. There's also been some intriguing reporting about his history with Justice Kennedy. Justice Kennedy made his decision to retire this year, handing this opportunity to announce to name a new nominee to President Trump. There had been some interesting reporting about the way that was negotiated between Justice Kennedy and the Trump White House. Brett Kavanaugh was a clerk to Justice Kennedy. And Brett Kavanaugh, his name was not on the first couple of lists of potential nominees that were circulated as people who President Trump might choose. When he suddenly popped up on the list, when he was added to the list late last year, in November 2017, some people saw that as a sign that that might have been a change to the list meant to assure Justice Kennedy that Brett Kavanaugh would get his seat, thus encouraging Justice Kennedy that it was safe to retire. We're about a minute and a half, 2 minutes away from the nomination. While we wait for the president to appear at the rostrum here, I want to bring in our friend Dahlia Lithwick, who's here from Slate.com. Dahlia, Brett Kavanaugh was sort of seen as the most likely pick instantly. Is there anything that surprises you about this nomination?
A little bit that I thought he would troll us with Amy Coney Barrett. I thought it would be very Trumpy of him to pick a woman who'd be the person to reverse Roe, to have, you know, Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski have to fight a woman. I thought that would be fun for Donald Trump. So this seems like a slightly safer pick than I thought Donald Trump might do.
And Dahlia, we've been told that Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the Senate, had sort of cautioned the White House about Brett Kavanaugh, saying, you know what? He's got a long record that we're all going to have to go through. And he's not necessarily saying that might be a pain, but he's saying that there might be some issues there that may arise over the course of his confirmation process. He's been more than, correct me if I'm wrong, more than a dozen years on the appeals court. Before that, he worked in the Bush White House for 5 years. He was there for a lot of the controversial times of the George W. Bush White House. There will be a very long paper trail here.
I think Dick Durbin once famously called him the Zelig, or the Forrest Gump of, you know, every time there was Bush v. Gore, he was there. Elian Gonzalez, he was there. The Ken Starr report, he was there. And so he's been at the epicenter of every big conservative White House story for a long time. There's a lot. There's 300 opinions to mine, Rachel. There's a lot there. And that made McConnell nervous. I think he wanted one of the two shortlisters with much, much less substantial records because he wants this done by September.
The speculation that I was alluding to, that the Kavanaugh addition to the list from which President Trump was reportedly choosing, that it may have been designed to encourage Justice Kennedy to retire. What do you make of that?
I think that's right. I mean, I think that the predictability, the fact that George W. Bush would have picked him, Ted Cruz, Mitt Romney would have picked him, tells you that this was a decision that was done by the Federalist Society, the Heritage Foundation. The groups that do this have almost entirely controlled the process, and that's why he's on the list. Typical traditional pick. This is not an alarming or sort of wacky pick that we might have expected.
This is the live shot that you're seeing right here on your screen is the East Room. We're expecting the president to arrive essentially now to make this nomination. Again, NBC News reporting that the nominee will be Judge Brett Kavanaugh.